In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how a single metric can help you go from an overwhelming business to a thriving or optimized business. As a matter of fact, what if I told you that there is a number that could predict with great accuracy how successful you're going to be as an entrepreneur, how successful you're going to be as a service or service provider, and how this single metric or number can help you make more money while working less hours. My friend, welcome to the effectiveness ratio framework, a game-changing metric, a game-changing framework that's helping people differentiate themselves when it comes to the world of business, differentiate themselves from accomplished, successful business, and separate themselves from the people struggling all over the place as far as business is concerned in 2025. All right? My name is Dimitri. I am the gentleman who is simply on fire about seeing you come to a place where you're going to re-engineer your potential so you can go on to the next, your result, the outcome you're getting within 12 months. All right? Without further ado, let's get right into it. First, the agenda, and then we're going to get to the specifics. For today's agenda, we're going to cover 6 sections. Section number 1, we're looking at understanding the effectiveness ratio. This is very important, of course. Section 2, we're looking at the 4 components of the effectiveness. Section 3, we're looking at the implementation framework. Section 4, we're looking at the advanced optimization tools. Section 5, we're looking at purpose, impact, integration. And section 6, we're looking at the action steps or things you have to do in order for you to go from where you are now to the next level. Let's go to section number 1. So first of all, let me just share with you very quickly the formula that you have to consider in order for you to go from where you are all the way to seeing yourself as potentially a business that's thriving and making great things happen. It's all about the effectiveness. And the effectiveness ratio can be calculated by looking at 2 things. The value provided or value offered that you have to have, and you have to divide that by the effort you have put into providing that particular value. But before we get into specifics, let me just give you just a quick story. A few days ago in Toronto, I was minding my own business. I was just walking around somewhere and I came across a sign that's not very frequent nowadays in Toronto. And the sign simply says, "New patients welcome." I said, oh my goodness, it's quite odd. Let me just go have a quick look because this family doctor is actually looking for more patients. So I was about to walk into the place when I saw a family coming out, and being a friendly person, I said, let me just talk to the person because I believe that sometimes word of mouth, reputation is more important than whatever the provider himself is going to tell me. So I asked this family, say, excuse me, can I talk to you for a few minutes? I said, yeah, sure, what's going on? I said, yes. I was walking by this place and I saw there's a sign saying new patient welcome, and I'd like to ask you a few questions when it comes to the quality of service that this particular doctor is able to offer as far as your experience is concerned, because I can see you coming out of this place with your children. I started asking a question, and here's the answer I got. I live close to this particular place. So this is why I come to this particular doctor. So when it comes to convenience, yes, for my children, it's convenient. I want to come to a place that's very close to where I live. But overall, when it comes to satisfaction, I would tell that, yes, as a parent, I don't come here, I go to a different doctor. I say, why? Because I need someone who can give me much more than what she's able to give me for my children. I said, this is quite odd. She said, yes. Because as we're growing older, she's looking at me. I said, okay, I don't know what you said. We started chuckling. Yeah, as we're growing older, we need to have a doctor who was more seasoned and was able to actually go above and beyond for us. Go above and beyond the call of duty to see exactly what we're bringing to the table and to help us better diagnose whatever symptom we're going to be presenting. I said, oh, this sounds about right. And she said, and that's the reason why I'm going to give you this. I give you this particular review as far as this doctor is concerned. But here's the funny thing. When you look at the parking lots and you see where the doctor had parked the car, you can see that the doctor is doing quite well. As a matter of fact, if you're driving one of these fancy exotic cars, I can see that yes, as a health provider, this gentleman is actually doing very well. This person is actually doing very well. But when it comes to the overall satisfaction that people are getting as far as the value offer is concerned, it's not where the doctor may think it is. And why am I telling you this? For a very good reason. In 2017, about 8 years ago, a study conducted in America looked at close to 286 patients that had been referred to the Mayo Clinic for a second opinion and look at what had been offered to this first batch of patients. Out of these 286 patients, guess what? Up to 26% of cases, when the doctor looked at them, they realized that yes, the diagnosis was not wrong, but it could have been more refined as far as whatever the doctor was talking about. That's number one. And when it comes to the overall conclusion, only 12%, about 12%, seem to be about right in the sense that yes, the doctor that looked at the particular diagnosis for the second time was able to confirm that yes, this was actually true. So for the rest of them, it was basically all over the place. What does this mean? As health providers, whether you work as a doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist, psychotherapist, coach, fitness coach, nutritionist, you name it. Whether you work as an entrepreneur, whether you work as a grocer in the community, a florist in the community, I know. In today's economy, the big focus is all about being able to clear the 6-figure on a yearly basis. And if you can reach 7-figure, then that means you're doing very well. 8-figure, that means that basically, yes, you've cracked the code. So everyone wants to be able to make at least $10,000 on a monthly basis, and that's a sign of success. And sometimes we do that to the detriment of certain things. We simply want to focus on seeing as many people as possible in order to clear the $10,000 mark on a monthly basis. But here's where things get extremely murky. Let's get down to the formula. Again, the formula simply says the effectiveness ratio must be looked at from two different key metrics. Number one, the value that you offer. You have to have the clear numbers and you have to divide that by the overall effort you've actually put into that. Now, let's take this formula and plug that into a very specific case study. Working with a particular coach, we see that the coach was actually seeing close to 40 clients on a weekly basis in order to meet the $10,000 or more on a monthly basis and putting close to 80 hours on a weekly basis. So day to day, it was at least 10 hours that the person was actually putting into the business. But here's where things actually got extremely interesting. Working with her, we simply says, how about we go from 40 clients on a weekly basis to only about 25 clients, number one. Number two, how about we reduce the number of hours you're putting into the business from 80 hours to only about 40 hours? The initial reaction was, no, this is not going to be possible because I need to see my people, I need to be out, I need to be visible. Then we look at this formula, the effectiveness ratio, and we was able now to look at the numbers. Here's how it went. You're working, seeing 40 clients on a weekly basis, and spending close to 80 hours. So again, when it comes to the value, we're looking at 40 clients on a weekly basis, and we look at also the overall satisfaction that the client are getting out of this interaction. And they will simply say, most of them on average, they will say that we are at the 6. So we do the calculation. So 40 times 6, which gives about 240 value units. That's number one. Let's look at effort. You spend close to 80 hours on average on a weekly basis into your business, actually seeing all these clients. So 80 hours times the overall stress level you're actually encountering in order for you to actually meet these numbers. So which is basically pretty high at 9. So 80 times now, which gives about 720 effort units. So now we divide that. So 240 units divided by 720 effort units, which gives us an initial ratio of 0.33. Now, after implementing what we suggested to them, so instead of working 6 hours, 6 days a week, How about we bring that to only 3 days a week? Number one, instead of seeing 40 clients on a weekly basis, how about we bring it about 20 to 25? Let's just say 25. 25 clients a week, multiplied by the overall satisfaction that the client are getting out of this the session, it brings about 225 value units. That's number one. Number two, effort, because you brought it now down from 80 to 40 hours. So 40 hours times the stress level that you actually encountering delivering the service, the stress level has gone down to 4. So 40 times 4, which gives about 160 effort units. So now do the calculation. 225 value unit divided by 40 hours, which now gives a new ratio of 1.41 hours. The client was simply like this. My goodness. It sounds amazing. But with this, I'm not going to be able to reach my $10,000 on a weekly basis. I simply say, on the surface, no. But because the satisfaction level is pretty high, guess what? People talk. Client talk. The amount of money we're actually spending, let's say, on marketing will not be going through word of mouth. These people are going to go out and simply talk about how amazing your service is. And as they're talking, as they go standing by your service, more people will be referred to you. And before you know it, instead of just working on your own, you're going to go from where you are now to considering a group practice, because you need to have more people working for you now to meet the demand and the reputation of your overall place is going to go through the roof, and you're going to become the go-to person that people want to see. And even if you decide to increase how much money you're charging on an hourly basis, people will be willing to pay that, because they will see that yes, they will be getting a greater value compared to everybody else out there. All right, so let's move on to section number 2. Yeah, so when it comes to value creation engine, we're looking at different things. When it comes to value score, we'll be looking at different factors such as the impact depth, the number of clients, and the duration of impact, and we're going to divide that by about 10. Let's just look at the perfect example. I'll look at 3 different things that you have to consider, because as a matter of fact, the first client, when they come to me and say, oh yeah, my goodness, reducing the hours from 40 to 25 hours will impact my bottom line. I'll be making less money and I don't know how I'm going to be able to survive. I simply say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but let's just look at different things. Word of mouth is absolutely very important, because the overall satisfaction people are getting out of interacting with you actually go through the roof. And once that starts happening, guess what? More people out there will be hearing about you and will be coming to you, and eventually you can come to a place where you can increase the price of seeing you on an hourly basis. And number 2, you can also look at increasing the staff people around you, so you can actually meet the demand that will be simply growing. Perfect example. We'll be comparing 3 things: individual sessions, group program, and online course. For example, if you're only seeing one client, let's say, when it comes to the overall impact, the impact on a one-on-one basis will be, let's say, given at 8. So times 1 client times about 0.25 a year, so about 3 months, we're looking about 2 value units. Let's consider now a group program. Then we're looking about 7. Now you're working not 1 client, but it's 15 clients. Overall, for over 1 year, we're looking now about over 105 value units. So you are seeing less people on a one-on-one basis, but you're seeing more people, and the value unit is actually increasing. And if you decide to also increase that and also put something else on top of that, put online courses, the depth overall, let's say, you're going to say, yes, I'm going from 8 to 7 to 6 now. This is fine. But overall, you'll be seeing that over 100 clients. And over 2 years, you're looking at 1,200 value units. And you can see very quickly that, yes, the numbers will be simply growing as opposed to going down. Resource effectiveness can be calculated in the following manner. Look at the output value and divide it by the resource cost. Perfect example. Before working with us, this wellness coach transformation was only focusing on individual session now. We're seeing about 30 clients on a monthly basis and working about 50 hours on a weekly basis. The revenue was about $8,000 on a monthly basis. Effectiveness was about close to 0.4. When we decide to actually do a mix, offer a mix, just go a one-on-one, group, and digital as well, what happened is they went from only seeing 30 clients on a monthly basis to now seeing 150 clients on a monthly basis and working about 35 hours on a weekly basis. And the revenue grew to $25,000 on a monthly basis. And the overall effectiveness grew from where it was before, from 0.4 to 2.1. a huge increase. Now, when it comes to the strategic leverage point, and there are also many different things you can also consider with clients. So we can also look at the strategic leverage point. We can look at the electronic health record. We can look at the telehealth platform. We can look at automated scheduling. So just instead of doing everything manually, you can also look at doing everything, putting on automation. You can also look at the CRM, so client management system. You can look at digital resource libraries you can make available for your client. And when it comes to the leverage factor example, perfect example. Before implementation, what was happening is they were spending about 5 hours on a weekly basis just on scheduling. And after we started actually implementing this, they went down to only 1 hour on a weekly basis. So the average level is about 5 times increase. So same thing as well when it comes to paper versus digital records. So before that, it was basically working about 10 hours on a weekly basis just on documentation. And after that, it went down to about 4 hours on a weekly basis. And the average when it comes to level is about 2.5 increase. Another thing we can look at as well is impact assessment dashboard. Key metrics to track would be basically focusing on things like a client outcome, making sure that yes, we know exactly what we're working with. The time investment, revenue per hour, client satisfaction, work-life balance score. And that's basically section number 2. Section number 2, we're looking at things like implementation framework. Number one key thing that you have to look at is basically, yes, for the first 2 weeks, look at things like auditing what you're doing, auditing your current practices metrics, the numbers that you're working with. Number 2, focusing on documenting the pain point that the client actually coming with when it comes to whatever they're talking about. Establishing baseline measurement and setting specific scaling goals that you want to have as far as your business is concerned. And first, number 2, we're looking at optimization, week 3 to week 6, looking at things like implementing practice management system, designing service delivery framework, creating standard operating procedures, and developing digital resources. And phase 3, we're looking at scaling. That's week 7 to week 12. We'll be looking at ways to launch your group program, implementing hybrid service model, and training support staff, and also making sure we can monitor the metrics that you're looking at and also find a way to also adjust them. Again, there are so many different case studies that we can actually go over when it comes to how this thing actually can make a difference. And you know that yes, the number will speak for themselves. And again, what I keep saying, when you look at everything that we do in life, everything must be done based on a system. Your effectiveness at a particular level right now is not going to be the same level of thinking you have to bring to another level. Perfect example. When Jesus comes to the forefront and people start coming to him from all over the place, people are now wondering, how is he now going to speak to the different needs out there? Is he going to offer the same service that he offers one-on-one to all the different people? As a matter of fact, the perfect test came the day where all of a sudden they realized that yes, we've been working for so long and close to 5,000 people have been following us, and at one point these people need to be fed. So now they are looking at him and says, what is he going to do? Is he going to use the same model of attending to these 5,000 people as he does when it comes to one-on-one, or what is he going to do? He says, yes, we're going to feed them, but we're going to feed them in a different manner. Yes, let's find what we have first as resources. And number 2, instead of just feeding all these 5,000 people as we do on one-on-one, how about we think in system, break them down in groups of 50. Instead of one-on-one, how about we go now look at things like delivering the same service now to over 50 people. So we're going to bring a basket that's going to feed 50 people. And instead of just working on one-on-one, you basically now increase your own capacity when it comes to delivery. You also increase the own output you're going to have, because now you can do less now with more people. And that's completely amazing. So the action step as far as this particular presentation is concerned, make sure that you download the effectiveness calculator that I actually provided, and you can just look at the link below this video. You can complete the practice assessment and make sure to schedule your strategy session with us so we can see how we can help you go from where you are all the way to the next level. And last but not least, join our implementation community where you're going to meet a group of people that can also help you go from wherever you are now, fine-tune what needs to be fine-tuned, and go over to the next level where you so belong. All right? I'm going to stop right here. But before I go, just one key thing. The goal as far as success is not so much to work more. It's not so much the focus on quantity, but the focus on quality. And quality comes down to only one key thing. the depth of impact that overall you're going to have as a service provider, as a business, as an entrepreneur, or simply as a person in the community. It's not going to be based on how much more you can do, but it's going to be based on the depth and the quality of what you can do. And as I keep telling people, when this young man came to the forefront in the 20th century in India, he only came with 78 followers in a country that had more than 300 million people living in the country. People say, but how can you change India with only 70 people following you? But guess what? It was not focusing on quantity, it was focusing on quality. It was focusing on the depth of the impact. As he was able to impact the 78 went on now to impact the rest of the nation. And before you know it, the whole nation was basically on fire, because they realized that yes, when the depth is there and when the quality is there, we're simply going to forget certain things, and we're going to start working with you and try to find the ways how we can use the same system to also better ourselves and take with us from where we are all the to the next level. All right, much love everyone. The best is yet to come, but now for the best to be manifested, you and I have to remain intentional when it comes to how we see ourselves, and more specifically how we intend to deliver what people are looking for. Again, remember, the effectiveness ratio must be looked at on a daily basis. How do you calculate that? Look at the value you offer to people and divide it by simply by the overall effort you put into that. Working more hours, working long hours on a weekly basis is not always a solution. Thinking out of the box and coming to a place where you realize there's no box. As a matter of fact, I can recreate the world based on metrics, not based on the feelings. And you're going to come to a place where you're going to realize that yes, there is so much more you can do with the seeming little resources that you have. The greatest one that we have again is Jesus Christ. He comes and says, we're going to feed 5,000 people. They say, but look at us with a small group of people, only 12 people. How can we go and deliver something in the hands of all these 5,000 people? Say, no, your way of thinking is completely incorrect. How about we simply find a way to multiply or to multiply our resources? They say, what are you talking about? See yourself as able to now deliver the same service to over 50 people, and with this you're going to realize, yes, my Christ, I can do more in much less time. And that's how the breakthrough came as far as everything is concerned back in the days. And the same level of thinking out of the box, or seeing that there's no box, is also available to you when it comes to your own personal life and your business life. Take good care. I'm out.